Bole Baba Ki Jai. Today's reading is from the Chandi Path by Swami Satyananda Saraswati. If you remember yesterday, we were talking about how the Divine Mother had done away with all of the thoughts that were disrupting the heavens and keeping the heavenly divine energy from the gods and the shining ones. And they were praising the Divine Mother on, and here she responds. We'll begin with a meditation. I meditate upon the three-eyed goddess Durga, the reliever of difficulties. The luster of her beautiful body is like lightning. She sits upon the shoulders of a lion and appears very fierce. Many maidens holding the double-edged sword and shield in their hands are standing at readiness to serve her. She holds in her hands the discus, club, double-edged sword, shield, arrow, bow, net, and the mudra connecting the thumb and the pointer finger with the other three fingers extended upwards, indicating the granting of wisdom. Her intrinsic nature is fire, and upon her head she wears the moon as a crown. The goddess said, "Whoever will constantly recite these hymns of praise to me with a concentrated mind, I shall without doubt put an end to their every difficulty. Whoever will sing of the destruction of too much and too little, the slaughter of the great ego, and the death of self-conceit and self-deprecation, whoever with one-pointed attention and devotion will listen to this presentation of my excellent glory on the 8th, 14th, and 9th days of the lunar fortnight, to them neither will anything bad occur, nor will misfortunes arise out of inauspicious events. Neither will poverty arise, nor separation from beloved ones. No fear will ever come to them from enemies, robbers, or kings, nor with weapons, fire, or floods. Therefore, this presentation of my glory should be recited with full attention and should be constantly listened to with devotion, as it is one's own path to self-realization. This presentation of my glories, the great destroyer of all disturbances, will bring peace to the threefold nature of confusion, physical, mental, and spiritual, of myself, others, and acts of God. I shall never forsake the place where this narration is well recited. There my presence will constantly abide. When offerings are made during worship, in the fire ceremony, at great festival occasions, this presentation of my glory should be completely recited and listened to. I will accept with love all acts of worship, offerings, and fire sacrifices, whether performed with understanding or without it. In the great periods when yearly worship is performed in the autumn season, this presentation of my glory should be listened to with devotion and full attention. People will become liberated from all troubles and, without doubt, will be blessed with wealth, food, and beautiful children. Listening to this presentation of my glories, of my auspicious manifestations, and my heroic conquering in the battles, people become fearless. Enemies perish, and welfare is generated for those who listen to this narrative of my glories, and their families rejoice. Let my glories be heard everywhere in functions of peace, upon seeing a bad dream, or to alleviate the adverse effects of position of the planets. Troubles subside as well as the afflicting influence of the planets. The bad dream seen by people becomes a good dream. It annihilates the strength of evildoers, and its recitation destroys demons, ghosts, and ungodly spirits. This entire narration of my glories makes my presence manifest. With the same satisfaction with which I receive 1 year of worship with offerings of your tantric nature, flowers, object of value, incense, perfumes, lights, the feeding of wise people, fire offerings, daily sprinkling of consecrated waters, and the offering of other objects of enjoyment similar is my gratification for those who, with love for me, recite this excellent narration or listen to it but once. Hearing removes sins and gives freedom from infirmities. Those who sing the praise of my births are protected from evil spirits, and the narration of my heroic acts in battle renders evil confusion without strength. After listening to this, fear of enemies is lost. The hymns of praise made by you, gods and seers of divinity, and by the creative capacity, and others as well, will bestow auspicious thoughts. On a lonely path in the forest, surrounded by a raging fire, encircled by robbers in a lonely place, captured by enemies, pursued by a lion, tiger, or wild elephants in the jungle, or under the orders of an angry king, imprisoned or condemned to death, or tossed about by turbulent winds in a boat on the great sea, or in an intensive battle under fire with opposing weapons, in all terrible afflictions and moments of distress, people who remember my glory will be freed from calamity and anguish. By my power, lions, robbers, and enemies flee to a distance from one who remembers this narration of my glory. Thus having spoken, the supreme she, who tears apart thought, a fierce poweress, disappeared from there, while all the gods watched her. Their enemies having been slain, all the gods were freed from disruption of the mind. They all began to enjoy their shares of sacrifices and to exercise their divine authority as before. When those thoughts, enemies of the gods and afflictors of the world, self-conceit, greatly fierce and of unequaled prowess, and self-deprecation of great valor, were slain in battle by the goddess, the remaining thoughts entered the lower worlds. Thus, O king, the supreme goddess, although eternal, again and again manifests herself for the protection of the worlds. The universe is deluded by her, and it is she who creates the universe. Satisfied by prayer, she grants wisdom and perfection. O sovereign of thinking beings, the entire cosmos is pervaded by her, the great goddess, who is the intrinsic nature of the great remover of darkness and the great destroyer, Mahakali. Sometimes she is the great destroyer, sometimes she, the unborn, becomes the creation. Sometimes she, the eternal, preserves all beings. During the time of welfare, she is the goddess of true wealth in the homes of men, granting increase. In times of misfortune, she herself is calamity and brings about ruin. Praised and worshipped with flowers, perfumed, incense, and other offerings, she bestows understanding, wealth, offspring, and a beautiful mind in the way of truth to wisdom. Om. Shri Mahalakshmi Mata Ki Jai, Ma Kali Mata Ki Jai, Ma Saraswati Mata Ki Jai, Ma Durga Mata Ki Jai, Ma Chandi Mata Ki Jai, Harakandashvari Mata Ki Jai, Vishveshvari Mata Ki Jai, Bole Baba Ki Jai.